The road trip has begun for the Phoenix Suns. They're on the first game of a 4-game road trip and stops off in Philly, the city of brotherly love. And they leave only scoring 88 points and losing 100-88 to those Philadelphia 76ers, Matthew.
Yeah, not the way you wanted to start, right? Not the way you wanted this road trip to go, but
No,
weird,
definitely.
yeah. Especially in Philly where we kind of own them, I feel like, but
Yes, it's
not
been a
tonight.
while. I think it's been a couple years since the Suns actually lost to the 76ers. So when you see this one on the schedule, as you look at the upcoming game for the Phoenix Suns and the upcoming road trip, you're like, okay, this one, let's lock this in as a win. Okay, this is a 4-6 team. They're struggling. They're without Harden. They've been without Embiid. He looked gassed in this game at multiple times. But the Phoenix Suns, for some reason, just couldn't put it all together. They couldn't shoot. Ultimately shooting 44% from the field and 33% from beyond the arc, but turnovers, lack of rebounding, lack of stopping some guy with the last name Niang really hurt the team, and they lose. It was an ugly game.
Yeah, when you're relying on campaign and Lee to really be the guys that help Book close the game out or get back into the game, that's not very good. I mean, those are your bench guys. I know Payne's starting now, and now here come the injuries because Chris Paul left too.
Yep.
So I mean, if you're relying on those guys to help Book, you're in some trouble. I mean, they can get only so hot and help Book as much as they can. There's some other guys in the starting lineup that should have stepped up tonight.
Yeah, there's a finite amount of ability that both of those guys had, as you mentioned, Cameron Payne and Damian Lee. And if they're the guys who are taking the shots, not Mikal Bridges, not Deandre Ayton, although he got dinged up a little bit as well in this game, you're going to run into some issues, and that's what we saw tonight. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. My name's John, a.k.a. Darth Voida on Twitter. His name is Matthew Lissy, a.k.a.
Matthew Lissy
on Twitter. You can follow the show at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up button. If you're listening, just give fist pound somebody that you're walking next to randomly. I hope you're walking through Target right now and you're listening to this podcast as you're seeking out simply a pair of underwear, knowing that you're going to probably leave with an air fryer, because that's the way it goes when you're at Target. You just randomly buy shit that you don't need.
and a lot of good eye contact there too. So a lot of people to fist bump.
Yes. Go into Target and just make eye contact with everybody. Make them all
That's
uncomfortable.
How it is. It's very uncomfortable walking in there. Yeah.
And you know what? It was kind of make them feel as uncomfortable as it was watching this game at points tonight. So plenty to talk about on this podcast. Matthew, I assume you're popping open a corn-free beer?
Not tonight, man. Just water.
Well, I've got this delicious, I think it's a tit liquor IPA. Tastes like a goat's nipple. So 6% ABV. Crack them if you got them, Suns fans. Ooh, tit licking. And let's talk about this game. The Phoenix Suns lose. They are now 7-3 on the season through their first 10 games. So a 700% winning clip, a 70% winning clip. Not too shabby, but still.
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask. Chris Paul went down in this game with, I think, a right heel issue. Are the Suns falling apart?
You know, they always talk about the window for teams to win a championship, and it doesn't always have to do with all the talent, because there's always the other thing with the injuries, and that never really was a big thing for the Suns. I mean, in the playoffs, Chris Paul got hurt and all that, but they managed to stay healthy. I mean, you can see it right now how things are kind of falling apart. We don't know for sure unless the Jamsters see anything. Chris Paul, it looked like a heel injury. He came out of the game, and there was a play before that where he used all his energy to get back a steal that he turned the ball over.
Yep.
Like, damn, dude. And then I was writing my notes. I'm like, who? That took all his energy to get that ball back, and then all of a sudden he's out of the game. I'm like, oh shit, that sucks. You know what? I mean, if they can inject that heel with some meat, it'd probably help out a little bit. I'm sure he needs that. But this Suns team right now, when these things keep happening, it's mentally, how are they going to handle this, right? Because Cam Johnson's gone, and if CP3 is out weeks or maybe a month, how are they going to handle that? You have all the trade talks. There's just a lot going on right now. And
Mhm.
I'm not really worried about the record. I think EJ put it best where he's
Yes.
just like, you know what? The Suns had their fun. It's just making the playoffs. That's what they need to do. And I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about how we're going to look in the playoffs, but also like how we're going to handle this season and will we go on losing streaks and stuff. But one game down right now, they're usually good at responding. So we'll see next game how they respond.
Yeah, the thing for me, and you're right, it's all about the playoffs, and it's all about how healthy this team can be entering the playoffs. But that being said, there are some glaring weaknesses that this team has, and injuries are going to start to expose them over the next month. Because I think that James Jones is honestly waiting for the December 15th date to hit, because that's when a lot of players become available on the trade block, right? Anybody who was traded over the summer, I think it's the rules like they have to be with their team for like 100 days. That 100 days is December 15th. And it's like he's just trying to get there so he can start to fortify aspects of this roster. But guys are dropping like flies now. Obviously, Cameron Johnson. I wasn't on the last podcast. Shout out to Suns Geek for covering with you, Matthew. Great job in my absence. But Cameron Johnson. I mean, who knows when he's going to be back? A meniscus injury. We saw that with Kelly Oubre prior to the bubble. It's typically like a 4-month injury, and then Kelly Oubre
Yeah.
took the bubble off in an effort to try to maximize his value going into that offseason. But I mean, we're going to be 4 months without Cameron Johnson at the very minimum. A heel issue for Chris Paul is a challenge. We don't know what the severity it is. We don't know if he was pulled as for precautionary reasons. In this game, he only played 13 minutes and 45 seconds, 1 of 1 from the field. He had 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers. There's just deuces all over the board for Chris Paul. But we don't know how long this potentially could keep him out, because why rush him back? The guy's 37. You got Cameron Payne. You got a bunch of guards that you picked up in the offseason. But the question becomes, are those guards, do they have the ability to actually assist and carry that team in that second team unit, which was a question mark already coming into the season, man?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing we were looking forward to the playoffs was like who can carry this team and who do we go by? You always say the wings. Well, one of them's out, one of them's clipped, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is always DA. This team goes by DA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you have an injury to Paul and you're trying to fill that void of like the assist, it's not going to happen. So you had to look for Mikal Bridges and you have to look for DA to step up in other ways, and it'll really show what they have going forward. Offensively, I mean, defensively, I feel like they do a pretty good job, but offensively, how can they help Book? Because that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
And it's going to be a point Book thing. I think Cameron Payne and him did pretty well tonight. I'm sure Payne will start, and it'll look like it did tonight, where they kind of switch on and off, which is fine. But Payne, I mean, if he's hot, it's awesome. But these other guys, they have to look big on the court. They can't have Cameron Payne and Lee like tonight take over in a way where you're relying on them to hit corner threes or just
Yeah.
random long ass threes. Like these guys, Mikal Bridges and Deandre Ayton, they have to overshadow these guys offensively. You have to just come away from the game and be like, wow, that's the 3 best players on the team: Booker, Ayton, and Mikal, in order to get through this if Chris Paul is gone for a while.
Yeah, and again, who becomes our big 3? Because before it's supposed to be CP3, D Book, and DeAndre Ayton. Now you lose CP3 and DeAndre Ayton. Again, he tweaked it looked like his left ankle. He came back in the game, and he really didn't look nearly as effective. I mean,
No.
what's funny, for those of you who watch the podcast, you can see what that drop looks like. If you're listening, go to the YouTube page, check it out. But it's the first play is DA just fumbling the ball away and falling on the ground. The second play is him like dunking over Giannis, and it kind of shows you the two sides of DA. And this game was definitely winnable, and I think that that's what makes this a little bit frustrating. The Suns got it down to 3 points, and Da was in the game, and he got boxed out by D'Anthony Melton on a play, and he missed a 2 easy layups. And you're sitting there and you go, listen, if we can't get anything close to DA with the absence of Chris Paul, with the absence of Cameron Johnson, like those are 2 guys who contribute a substantial amount of points to this team. DA has to step up more than anybody now. And he's somebody who kind of shies away from those moments, good, bad, or indifferent. And taking a look at the way that he performed tonight, looking the first thing about DA, well, I'll start here. Kellen Olson put out a very interesting tweet during the game. He says, very eye test observation here, but it feels like the Suns have been better this year at converting Ayton pick and rolls into Ayton post touches. Swing pass is there's more consistency to open up the angle if the initial look isn't. And that's something that I noticed early, and I've seen early this season is, they're actually getting him the ball. So I like that. And that's obviously what you need from DA. But the issue that we're having with DA this season is he's his own worst enemy. He's easily averaging the most amount of fouls per game that he has his entire career. He's averaging 3.9 fouls per game. His previous high was 2.9. That was his second year in the league. This is his 5th. So he's getting in his own way from a foul standpoint to where he's not going to get the minutes, aka he's not going to get the touches, aka he can't help support this team.
Yeah, I'm glad when you tweeted something out, I'm like, I hope he has a stat because I know you looked it up, but averaging that many fouls, it's kind of like where are you at in your career? You should understand right now how to stay out of foul trouble when your team's in need. Like, just you got to be smart, and you can look at the rest. They can be dumb fouls. If you want to say they're dumb fouls, it's fine. But I mean, it can't be that way. This guy needs to understand where he needs to be on the court, that he needs to be on the court basically to help this team. And like just in the first half, I mean, it's usually like he's had these games this year where he gets off to hot starts, 8 points. He had 6 points like earlier on, but he was like 2 for 3 in the first half. And that's the thing is like, this is the biggest thing this season is to see how he can handle the ball and what he can do with the ball to where it's threatening to other teams. Because right now it's like if Book can't get anything going, it's like who else you look for offensively? Because Mikal shies away too. But Ayton should be that guy by now. And that's the thing. It's like we have these games where it's like fantastic game by Ayton, just great game. But then it's like it should always be that way. Like Booker never has a bad game, really. Even if he does, it's like he is doing everything else on the court. We shouldn't come away from these games and just be like, because the first thing I think of is like, God, could we just hurry up and trade this guy? Like, I seriously think that so much still. And I shouldn't have to think that with this guy. But that's just how it's going. And the way it looks on the court, I just feel like he's not threatening to the other team to where it's going to make a difference. And I don't know. Just that little play he had around the rim where he like did this little fake around Embiid and like he had this little jump hook and he missed it. It's like those plays, it's like go up tough and try to dunk it. But
Bingo.
I'm sick of saying that. It's been 10 years.
I know.
And we're still saying the same shit.
I know. But the thing is,
years.
because we talk about that, and the argument is always, well, 2 points is 2 points. So if you're dunking it, if you're laying it up, or if you're hitting a midi, like it's all 2 points. But the difference is when you're taking it up with aggression, you're getting to the foul line. He shot 2 free throws tonight, man. Joel Embiid shot 16. Devin Booker shot 14. So there's a difference in mentality that Deandre Ayton just doesn't possess that can help assist Devin Booker. And the reason we're talking about this, Suns fans, is not necessarily based on tonight's performance. I'm not overly upset with how the Suns played tonight. They were hampered. They were on the road. Philly, good, bad, or indifferent. Philly's a team that I think is going to end up being really good this year. Little Ewing theory in there. No James Harden. All of a sudden, they can win a game. But what's frustrating is if CP3 is injured, and we know that Cameron Johnson's injured. Like as Suns fans, I'm personally in this micro panic mode early in the season, right? Because again, you're right. It doesn't matter until we hit the playoffs, and we got to be healthy going into the playoffs. But we got to get there, and you want to have some good seeding, and you want to see some things that the Phoenix Suns can build upon. What lies before the Phoenix Suns and the members of their team right now is opportunity. Mikal Bridges has an enormous amount of opportunity on his plate. DeAndre Ayton has an enormous amount of opportunity, yet he continues to kind of be this finesse guy who's trying to go around players. He's a 6'11" guy trying to go around players. Motherfucker, go through them, draw the foul, learn how to finish hard at the rim to where you can convert those into and one. You had a master class on the other side of the ball tonight in Joel Embiid. Now, don't get me wrong. Are all the fouls that Joel Embiid is drawing actually fouls? No, he's literally like a fullback who's running into the lane, throwing his shoulder down and running through people, and then it's a foul on them. Yep. But DA doesn't even try that.
No, but Embiid knows how to play the game. It's not about whether or not it's a foul or not. It's not about that anymore. It's
what
about
I want Ayton to do. Learn how
drawing
to play the
contact.
Game.
Yeah, exactly. It's about, but this is the thing though. Where is this his fifth year? Why can I not remember? Is this his fourth year, fifth year, fourth year? Fifth year. So we just can't have this anymore. And it's almost one of those things where it's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And because this is who he is. And we should have listened to James Jones 3 years ago when he said that. Like, this is who DA is, but we keep expecting more. But then he has good games. But that's the thing though. Like, he has good games, but then when he's in need, like when we need him to step up in place of somebody, then it's impossible, it seems like. But he'll have great games. He'll step up against good teams, but he has a good surrounding around him. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about if guys are out injured, he has to step up in those minutes and be even better. Like, that's another step he has to take. So we'll see how it goes. But it's funny you said the James Harden thing. It kind of reminds me of like the Zeke and Pollard things. So Zeke's out and the whole offense is just great, right? And I feel like with James Harden now, that offense is just more explosive. I know they had moments where like they couldn't get a shot to go and, they kind of rely on Embiid a lot, and that's fine, but they're just more explosive. They can really take the lead and they're not boring to watch. Cause yeah, I'm sick of Harden too. I mean, I've always liked Harden.
Oh yeah.
But now it's like when he's older, it's like, dude, he's going to slow this team down even more. So I kind of like that he's not in there. He shouldn't even be on the team. It seems like.
Yeah, but Daryl Morey has this love affair for James Harden, and he's slowly trying to make the Philadelphia 76ers into like the 2017 Rockets, right? He's like, hey, PJ Tucker, come on over. Yeah, remember us? Yeah, you can hang out in the corner just like you did for all those years with the Rockets. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, James Harden's going to be out with a month because he has a foot issue, and that's where the question becomes with Chris Paul is, what exactly does this injury entail? How long is he going to be out?
The point guard.
It hasn't necessarily been the most stellar Chris Paul season relative to stats, right? You take a look at how he's played thus far. He's 10.3 points per game, the lowest in his career. He's leading the league in assists, though, with 10.2. But he's shooting 36% from beyond the arc, 36 from the field, 27.3 from beyond the arc, and 88% from the free throw line. But still, losing your primary playmakers it's going to be absolutely huge if this is a prolonged injury. Obviously, we're going to kind of keep our eyes out as we're doing this podcast. I typically like to follow like Dwayne Rankin. I think his son's beat writer, does a great job. Him and Kellen Olson are absolutely fantastic at kind of putting the information out there as we're live post-game potting, if you will. So, hopefully there's some information about what happens. But if we are without Chris Paul moving forward and Cameron Payne becomes your primary point guard, the question I got for you, Matthew, knowing that Cameron Johnson is already out, is does James Jones start to test the market? Does James Jones actually bring somebody in to try to provide some more offense for this team?
Yeah, I think he's looking at it right now. Now, who it is, I don't know. I was there was something released this morning, just like a quick like, hey, what should we do? Like with Cameron Johnson being out, should we make a big trade? Should we wait for Cameron Johnson to come back? Mm-hmm. But now it's like you got to kind of do something. So people were throwing out like Kuzma if he's available, which would be awesome. But I don't know if we can get that kind of guy. Marketing, I've mentioned marketing before the season started. Marketing has started off pretty hot. That's a guy too, but I don't know who you can.
Do you think that the Utah Jazz are kind of in a spot where they're like, hey, we know that we're in blow it up mode. Okay, so we're trying to garner as many assets as possible, but Lauri Markkanen is somebody that we'd like to build around moving forward. Do you think that he's somebody who could potentially be available, or are they exploring everything?
So that team is what, 7-3 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. That's kind of took a turn. You didn't expect that at all. But Ned Bull says Carmelo Anthony ? Which is, it's kind of funny if he can come off the bench and hit the threes, like he can get hot still. That's cool. I think he'd be fitting really well with this team chemistry wise. It would actually be kind of cool. Zona Sports did point that out before, and then No Dunks talked
Yes.
about it today.
Yes.
So then that was interesting. That's something that's really interesting. So you need kind of like leadership to come in. I don't think you can just have a guy come in, and if he's explosive, that's fine. But it's just like the leadership on the court's going to be missing too with Chris Paul being gone. Like, remember when Chris Paul went out last year and DA didn't rebound like 2 games in a row? Like he had like 2 rebounds because Chris Paul wasn't there to hold him accountable. So that's going to be the biggest thing missing, is the accountability on Deandre Ayton. That's what CP3 does on the court. So I don't know, man. Like, who do you think? I mean, who is there? Is there someone?
There were
you're
3
thinking
names. There were 3 names that Zona Hoops. So if you don't follow _Zona Hoops, please do. Writes for Bright Side of the Sun, is part of the Sun Solar Panel podcast. But he put out 3 names, and you hit on 2 of them. The first one is Kuzma. You know, you take a look at Kyle Kuzma thus far this year. Obviously, he's playing in Washington. Washington's in one of those potentially kind of blowed up mode. I mean, he's a player who's been playing well enough to where they're like, hey, listen, Kuzma, Kyle, Kuz, buddy. Can we talk to you? Come over to the sideline real quick. He's like, what's up? He's like, hey, I'm 6'9", power forward, small forward. He's averaging 16.9 points per game. Okay. He's hitting, 33% of his threes, but he's playing pretty well for a Washington Wizards team that, might want to get into that Victor Wembanyama, the Wemby, the Wemby sweepstakes. They're 4-6, but they're like, hey, cool it, Kuz, cool it. When it comes to scoring on the team, obviously you have Bradley Beal, you got Kristaps Porzingis, and then you got Kuz. You take a look at his contract. He's $13 million a year, and he has a player option next year. He is the ideal trade candidate for the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion, Kyle Kuzma. I think he'd be a perfect fit in what we need. A scoring 4, right? We just lost our scoring 4. If Chris Paul's out for any prolonged period of time, we do have a stable of guards. They might not be great guards, but you have Cameron Payne who could start. Then you got Damian Lee behind that. You got Landry Shamet potentially. You got Josh Okogie. You've got Dwayne Washington Jr. I mean, at least you got names. Behind Kyle Kuzma, I mean, Matthew, I had to say this out loud today. Torrey Craig is our starting power forward.
Mm.
Disgusting. It's like not brushing your teeth for like 3 days. That's what it feels like in your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, if that's a thing, it's honestly like tonight I was thinking, I'm like, if he was, how bad is it going to be if he's actually starting for until Cameron Johnson comes back or something? We don't.
It's bad.
It's bad because we would have to rely so much on DA offense. That's
Bingo.
the thing, is like, if DA was what we want him to be, which, we talked about so many times, we wouldn't have to worry about that. We wouldn't. I think what Torrey Craig's been doing is decent. It's fine. You can't have like an all-star at every position, right? Like the Suns are missing their one guy that is a new starter in Cameron Johnson that was going to come in and maybe be an all-star that we wanted him to be. Didn't work out, but we have everybody else. Chris Paul now is out, but we don't know. But it's not like we have to have someone that's great at every position, which Torrey Craig is like a perfect guy if you want to put in there if you have a dominant DA next to him. But that's not going to happen. You're not going to have that. So I don't know, man. I think that Kyle Kuzma does make sense, but
what you need is production from every position, right? I don't need somebody to be great, but Torrey Craig tonight, 22 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc, 3 points, 1 rebound. Like that's our starting power forward tonight. Torrey Craig, he's a journeyman bench player, and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Torrey Craig and the way that he's supported this bench thus far this season, but he's not a starting 4. So Kuzma is somebody who, if James Jones wants to make a trade with the team and, give up Torrey Craig, give up Jay Crowder, I don't care. Send Jay Crowder to fucking Washington. Like, there you go, bud. All that. I need to be a starter. Here you go. Go start for the Wizards, man. Good luck there. Another name, obviously Carmelo Anthony, you mentioned that. Carmelo Anthony is somebody who I'd like to see the Phoenix Suns take a shot at. I really do. He's an offensive player. Does he have the ability to start in the NBA anymore? Probably not. He's a turnstile on defense, but Torrey Craig kind of is too. So at least give me a guy who can hit a 3 every now and then. And then the last one that Zona Hoops said, and I like this one, and it'd be interesting to see if this would actually occur, is Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes, obviously, for some reason, has been with the Kings for how many seasons now? He's on his
20
seasons,
he's
on his sixth season. I think it's his 6th season with them. Yeah, he's just forever. Like they haven't traded him. He's an asset who's been highly tradable for a long, long time. They haven't traded him. He's currently on the last year of his 4-year, $85 million deal, which at the time was, kind of outrageous because he started off making $24 million a year, but he's down to $18.3 million. That's what he'll make this year. So if you can swing a trade, you do a Jay Crowder plus Dario Saric or a Jay Crowder plus Landry Shamet, please. You can get Harrison Barnes. He's averaging 11.1 points per game. He's having a really rough year from beyond the arc thus far. He's 18.5% from beyond the arc. So that might be the spice that is ever so nice that the Sacramento Kings like, you know what? I think you're kind of done. Let's try to get a couple assets from you or for you. And potentially, again, somebody who has the talent to take over that 4, knowing that Cameron Johnson's going to be gone for a long time. And even when he comes back, he's going to have to work himself into shape and he's going to be bench Cam Johnson again. So again, the Suns have to start thinking down these avenues. James Jones has to start thinking down these avenues. And he might start to think down these avenues come the 15th of December. That's over a month away. And who knows where the Phoenix Suns are going to be in a month? Is it going to be too little too late? Or is he going to be proactive in trying to get this team ready and bolster this roster?
Oh, something has to happen because I don't think the Suns fans will be happy with what's going on right now. And we expect championship and we know where we're at right now. This team is just not. It's not good.
We're 7-3. We're bitching. I know that, but
we're 7-3. But no, but even after last game when we won that, I was saying I'm like, this team is still not it. This is not the team that's going to win a championship. It's just it's not. And James Jones, I think, knows that. I'm going to be so surprised to see what the hell happens because something's going to have to happen. And whether or not Harrison Barnes, I don't know. It'd be cool because he can hit big shots. He can come in and he can get hot from 3. I know he's right below 40% usually during regular season, and it's early, so who knows? And he's only 30, so that's not a big deal. So only $20 million. I don't think that's that bad. I thought he was making way more than that. That's why I never thought about him.
Well, it's because his contract used to be like something that was just like, whoa, they're paying him what?
Yeah, now it's back in 1989 when he got paid, we're like, holy crap, dude, the Kings. I swear he's been on that team for forever. But the Suns just need something, a spark. Every team gets kind of bored once in a while, right? If you keep winning. And the Suns, of course, the way they went out last season, it's like the way that they're going to look at themselves going into the playoffs, they know they need a jolt of something. As players, you can only be as good as you are. And I think these players right now, what we're seeing is as good as they're going to be this whole season. I'm not thinking that, Mikal's going to be the guy that's going to be like 1 every 4 games and to come out be hot. Cameron Johnson could have probably been a guy that came out every second game and got hot. DA, who knows? He's going to have good games and then he's going to let you down where it's going to cost us a game. So I just think that's what we are now. And we can't rely on Book, who is absolutely phenomenal, but he's going to need some help. So they had to make a big move, and it's going to probably cost some names that we like, but as long as it doesn't happen,
as long as it doesn't cost us names that we love. And yeah, there is that whole KD situation kind of still out there. Who knows? But Cameron Johnson's now hurt. That really hurts the KD situation, in my humble opinion. It really does.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, though, I feel like shouldn't they have, if the trade was there, because Charles Barkley talked about it, he heard that the Suns were offering it wasn't Devin Booker or Chris Paul. So he's like, why the hell did you not do it yesterday? He's like, yeah, you should have done it yesterday or whatever, which is totally true. So it's like either Johnson or Mikal, they didn't want to trade one of those two, which is kind of, you know what, we love those guys. And now that one's hurt, of course, we're going to say, oh, you should have made the trade. But for Kevin Durant, you'll never have a Kevin Durant ever again. You'll never have the opportunity. We could have said like, oh, what about injury? What if it doesn't work out and KD gets hurt? But you just see what he's doing over there without Kyrie and stuff. Like he can win games by himself.
Yeah, imagine
having that
supporting cast
is
around
insane. But we'll talk about it all year long until the trade deadline passes. But someone's got to do something.
Of those 3 that I mentioned, who would you like to see on the Phoenix Suns? Kyle Kuzma, Harrison Barnes, or Carmelo Anthony?
So I've always liked Kuz. I've always thought he's awesome, and he kind of reminds me of a Cameron Johnson in a way. He just does. Shooting wise, he has like the same height, same build. I just think he's a guy that can get hot, and he's a guy that can help us out offensively at times when it's really in desperate need. He's a starter in the league. I think it would be a perfect fit. If we're going to go Carmelo, I think that'd be a fun thing. I think it'd be just fun to have Carmelo on the team. It'd be a name. It'd be a guy to come out and be like, oh, Carmelo, he'd fit really well with the team. And then who's the other guy? Was there another option? Markkanen is another guy too. Harrison Barnes. Those are all quality. It's just what we're going to give up. If it's only going to be Jay Crowder and something little, than maybe a second round pick or whatever, that's fine. But just don't give up too much for those dudes. Except for Kyle Kuzma, might be a guy you can give up. Shamit and Jay or something. I don't know.
Just Jay would work though. I think just Jay would work on
Is it
that
just
contract.
Jay?
Yeah,
Okay.
he doesn't make that much. Men Ken Kenny in the chat says Kevin only option. He only wants Kevin Durant. Says none of the above. And shout out to Men Ken Kenny.
Yeah,
I was watching
sure.
Fox Sports Show last night. And I saw your tweet get pulled up there by Richard Sines. That was dope, man. I was like, hey, I know that guy. He's in my. He always watches the Suns Jam Session podcast.
Yeah.
So
Because he's watching the game tonight, and we're just thinking when the Suns are going to lose games, we're going to always think about Kevin Durant. That's just the way we're going to think.
always. If I could choose, if I had to choose between those three, I think I'd go with Kuz. I think that he lines up with our timeline. Play option next year. Get him in here. He's somebody who could potentially, give us big minutes. And I'm with you. I've always been a fan of Kuz. I just think that he kind of got a raw deal in LA, as a lot of players did, because LeBron James comes in there like a wrecking ball. Did you see the whole LeBron talking how he told everyone the Migos were coming up next? Like, I remember being on the Heat in 2010, man. The Migos are coming up next. Like, they didn't release their first mixtape until like a year and a half later. Fucking LeBron, dude. You lying sack of shit.
You know what? I was driving, go to get Starbucks this morning on my break, and I just think about LeBron. It was not even that tweet, but I just think about him now, and I've always loved watching him. But this year and at the end of last year, I'm just like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of, and I love this little shit talk we can do of LeBron really quick. But like, I'm just sick of the fakeness. I just am. Like, if you don't see him walking around the court doing whatever he's doing, the way he talks, the way he's like it's so fucking fake. I cannot stand it, man.
I know. He, like we said it in the bubble, like he always knew where the cameras were at, right? So he always knew when to like, I'm going to be loud and competitive because I know there's a camera watching me right now. And you can't blame him. He's a victim of circumstance, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I know.
Shout out to Blaze Megatron in the chat, and the super chat dropped $10 and is an elite jamster. So if you want to be an elite jamster, please go to our YouTube page, click the join button. You can get some exclusive content. And if you're watching along live on YouTube, you can drop us a little money there in the super chat. They're like Blaze Megatron did $10. We can use that towards Powerball tickets. So if we win that $1.9 billion, we'll still do the pod. I promise you that. It'll just be coming to you live from Tahiti. Blaze Megatron says, if DA wants to be, in quotations, finesse, do we consider playing him at the 4 and with maybe Landale at the 5 while Cam is injured? He's not Duncan, I know, but could Monty run some old Spurs throwback plays? Interesting question. Interesting point of view.
Good question.
Matthew, your thoughts?
You know what? If DA if he knew what the hell to do on the court at all times, and yeah, I mean, that would make sense because I feel like he can really fill that role because he's always wanted to be a power forward. But
I agree.
I just feel like he has these games where a lot of his plays that he's throwing out there offensively, any kind of move he has, is kind of like, oh, look at this, like look what I can do now. And then if he makes a shot or something, like he's always like, oh, I hope Monty's happy for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's never just strictly business for him down there offensively. It's never just, if you're unstoppable offensively, what do they have, like 3 or 4 moves maybe, if that, but they have to be dominant. And I feel like DA has a few, but sometimes still like he just gets so lost and stuff. So I don't know. It just seems like it'd be so cluttered. And then we have to go through those games where like, oh, DA should be at the 5 again. It'd just be a big mess more than it is kind of right now.
Blaze follows up his question. Says, in regards to my question, not for vast stretches, but for some minutes. I completely agree. I don't think that Landale's the answer. I think that you can run him out there with Busy, right? Because, Landale would still be undersized at the 5, and you need somebody who can be accountable for the Phoenix Suns at the 5, right? But I think that, with Cam Johnson being out, there is some opportunity for the Phoenix Suns to go ahead and play DA at the 4, right? Like have Busy run that 5. And I think that what that'll ultimately do is open up a little bit more, because what does DeAndre Ayton like to do? Well, he likes to hang out beyond the arc. He likes to hit the midi. He's comfortable not attacking the rim. So if he's not attacking the rim, this isn't a Karl Anthony Towns situation. He has lateral quickness. He has the ability to slip screens, and he could hold his own against the 4s in this league defensively, in my personal opinion. So yeah, why not run this out there for some minutes at a time? I think it's a good observation. It's something that Monty Williams should explore. One thing that he explored tonight was putting both Jock Landale and Dario Saric out there at the same time. It's like the same concept we're just talking about based on Blaze Megatron's observation, but doing it with like the two white guy front court, which I don't know if any other team has done this in the league at all this year, is having two white guys play in the front court. But I mean, there's just so many fouls, so little time between them two. Jock Landale averaged, if you did the per 36, he had like 5 fouls in 7 minutes tonight, 25.7 fouls per minute, or fouls per 36 in this game. The idea was there. It's just you got to pivot it just a little, Monty, just a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. They did this before, and I kind of liked it because it's just like you have to deal with a lot. If you're the opponent, it's a lot down there between those two trying to battle for the ball. Like it's nonstop. So you know what I mean? Like when you had DA in there, he gives up. I'm not saying he gives up, but like if the ball is not in his reach, he's not going to try for it, right? But these guys try for everything. Like they have hands coming up. They have like basically arms and hands coming out of their ass trying to grab the ball. Like it's insane little tornado going on down there. So it's a lot. It tires these guys out. I want to see more of it. I like it. I feel like, you know what? At times it can look messy, but I just feel like I trust those guys down there, and I just feel like the more and more they kind of work together, they can kind of figure things out. In a big game like tonight, where it's just like you're down or whatever. No, but like the Suns will have their blowout games where you can experiment with them more. So in those instances, yeah, I want to see it.
Hey.0, why don't we pick up Dwight Howard or Hassan Whiteside?
Yeah.
Well, Dwight Howard is on his way to Taiwan. He just got signed by a Taiwanese team. And again, I don't think our big issue is the 5. It's the 4, right, Matthew?
No, it's not.
We need the 4. I mean, we already have Jock Landale. We already have Deandre Ayton, Bismack Biyombo, and Dario Saric, all capable of playing the 5. I don't think we need to go out and find a good 5. I think we need to be, as Blaze Megatron pointed out, we need to be a little bit more creative, perhaps, in how we execute the 4 by maybe having DA play some 4 minutes or putting Jock out there with DA. And that's what Blaze said. But let Jock be the 4 and DA play the 5 and kind of have this positionless basketball. I don't think we need to go out and find another center.
No, I mean, I think that what I'm looking for is just a guy, whether it's a power forward, whether it's a backup guard, somebody that comes out and they can just score. And we can count on them for scoring. That's what I want. I mean, the ultimate prize is Kevin Durant. The other guy is like Shea Gilgeous, but you know what I mean? Like there's guys below that the Suns can get that can just be automatic scoring, whether it's power forward. I mean, of course, we need power forward now, but like before, I was just like, just somebody that can fucking score the ball.
Well, that's all we need. Again, we don't need somebody who's going to pour in 25 points a game. We just need somebody, it's like, give me some rebounds, because you saw tonight, the Phoenix Suns got absolutely pounded on the glass, which sounds inappropriate, but I'll allow it. You take a look at the total rebounds. The Philadelphia 76ers had 48, which was their season high. The Phoenix Suns only had 37. And of those 48, it was 15 for the Philadelphia 76ers. And if you look at their overall second chance points, they had 16. The Phoenix Suns had 5. So having inconsistencies at the 4, knowing that on games like tonight, like DeAndre Ayton's got his hands full with Joel Embiid, you need team rebounding. That's what built that lead early in the first half for the Phoenix Suns that they ultimately couldn't come back from, was the fact that it was one and done every time down the court. Every time. If they missed a shot, which they were missing, you take a look at the first quarter, they shot, or was it the second quarter? Second quarter, they were 9 of 20 from the field. First quarter, they were 8 of 19. So the first half, they shot 43%. The Sixers shot 41%, but they also had all those extra rebounds, and they had 11 second chance points to the Suns' 5. All those second chance points to the Suns came in that first half.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's going to be a thing. So, I mean, something has to happen soon. Like soon, I think. But you know what? I feel like the way things are, it's like we'll go like 50-50, or we'll go 50% really on wins the rest of till All-Star break, till the trade deadline, right?
Could 49 and 33 be in play, Matthew?
Now it is. Would you? It wasn't looking like it, so we had these injuries. So
yeah, well,
I know you always worry about the injuries. So here you go, you got them.
Woo!
So.
Here comes the pain.
Say that 27 minutes, 6 of 14, 14 points for Cameron Payne, 5 assists. He's really been playing very well this year, and I'm glad to eat a little crow talking about him, knowing that the Phoenix Suns are going to need him to step up. Had a stellar game. Again, his quickness is back. This is the Phoenix Suns definitely missed him while he was injured. I think they went 2-1 in his absence. But I mean, he He's looking great. He's hitting 3-quarter shots, prior to halftime that don't count. I mean,
Yeah, I knew that
he's,
one. And they
he's
didn't
looking
show
good.
it.
They didn't
I
show
hate
it.
it when the camera.
I know the whole camera
Even if the buzzer beater goes off, they usually follow it. They
every
need to
time.
always follow it every time because you never know. Those are my favorite parts of the game.
They didn't show it. And you hear the whole crowd just go, whoa!
Yeah, no.
I'm like, come on, show it. You got to have an angle there, right? No, they don't.
Yeah.
But I think that Cameron Payne, again, the Suns are going to lean into him now based on Chris Paul. But if Chris Paul is healthy, let's say that scenario that, best case scenario, he comes back healthy, is Cameron Payne and Damian Lee a proper backup court or versus having Landry Shamet? Because I'm sorry, man, Landry ain't it, dude.
I don't know. I love Landry. I do. What do you have tonight?
Why?
Let me see. Do you have 0 points? All right,
Yeah.
0 for 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I do like him a lot. So he's actually 10th in scoring off the bench in the league. Like, I'm just saying, like, I feel like he's building himself up. He's gonna still have these games that look bad, but he's just doing a lot more, and the shots he's taking look really good. I really think the shots he's taking them right away, which is awesome. Some of them were in and out. He even had that the fast break 3 that was totally in and out. So like he has these games where it doesn't look good in the box score at all. Like tonight was the worst, obviously, because there's nothing there.
Yeah,
but
right.
But I swear he has something there. There's something there that's good. I mean, he's a guy that's going to play really good defense too. But if you're talking about a backup, a 6-man, or if you're going to talk about like the 6-man guy, no, it's not there. But when we need him with these injuries and stuff, I think he can fill the void. I see something there. I just see it. All right. And it's not really showing up in the past 2 games. It's coming, man. Like he's had a few really good games this year. Earlier in the season, we loved him, man. He's just had 2 back-to-back pretty bad games. But something is there with his offense, man. His shot looks really fucking good. And I just think he's playing really well. He looks like an actual NBA player this year, man.
So here's my counterpoint to Landry Shamet. You ready for this? Landry Shamet's only good when the Suns are up. Right? Like he doesn't hit any huge threes when the Suns are down, and maybe he has, and I'm just not remembering them.
Yeah.
But like, why can't we have a guy coming off the bench like the 76ers have in that what's his name? Gorgie Yang.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why can't we have that guy? Now I get it. It was like a career night for the guy. He went 7 for 11 from the field, 7 of 10 from deep, 21 points. I mean, every time the guy shot, it went in. But like, why can't we just have can I see that from Landry one game? Can I just see one where it's just like he goes in fuego? Because when I look at it and I go, D. Lee or Landry Shamet, D. Lee plays with a tenacity, a championship tenacity. He gets under the opposition's skin. He can hit some threes. I feel like he hits very timely threes. Obviously, he's hit a buzzer beater already this season. He does these little things that fortify my affection for him, that make me want to root for him. That when he's on the court, I go, you know what? He's affecting this game in a positive manner. Landry Shamet, I get it. Like he's got something there. He's building up to something, but like, let's just fucking see it already. It's like, let's just go ahead and see it.
Yeah, well, we had a few games, and Lee was awesome first game, and he kind of fell off, I feel like, for like 7 or 8 games. Like, he was kind of nowhere at all. Plus, like, some games he didn't even play. And then he hits these big, like, every time he shoots the ball tonight, every time he did, I was like, oh, that's going to go in because it's a big time. We need it. So he is that guy for sure. It's just like Landry Shamet, though, is like almost 7 points a game off the bench. And then you have Cameron Payne almost 9, Jock Landale 9. Like, so our bench, that's 3 of the top 10 right now in the NBA off the bench. The bench is fucking killer. So I just think that, I mean, you asked for the guy to go off.
But now the bench isn't necessarily going to be killer because we're going to lose
not
a
going to be
member
the
of
bench
them.
because it's not really the bench anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, Jock will be starting for point guard next game.
I think what it is like I low key have a crush on my friend.
Today I met this cat. He said his name was Damien. He thinks that we're a lot alike and wants to be my friend.
Like he gets under guys' skin. Like he'll push somebody, or like they gave him the flagrant foul tonight, which I don't know if it's a flagrant foul. And Eddie Johnson's like, if that's a flagrant foul, I don't know. He's like, that's the softest foul that I ever had. And then it ended up being a flagrant foul. But you see it like he'll punch. He's the kind of guy who like punch a guy and then like throw his hands up and like, I didn't hit him. And he walks up. He's like, it's no big deal, dude. It's no big deal. And like he's done it like 3 or 4 times this season. And it's just, again, his presence is known. And Landry Shamet disappears, and then just like open shots. And so you're reading off Landry's stats. So I assume you have them in front of you, right?
I just have the top 10 leaders in points. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have his shooting percentages on the year?
No, I don't. They're pretty bad or what?
I don't know. I mean, if you had the information in front of you, I was just going to be like, hey.
No, I don't have it. But I don't think it's that bad, dude. I really think he's been pretty. He was like shooting going into the last game. He was like 40+% from three. I swear.
All right. So this year he's 37% from three, not including tonight. 6.7 points a game, 16 minutes a game, 38% from the field.
I just think he plays good minutes.
I just think it's average minutes.
Lee is awesome. I mean, he had that stretch in the third quarter where it was just like the defense, the drawing the fouls, hitting the big three, another big three in the fourth. So it's like he does that. It's not as consistent. And Shamet, I don't know if he hits like big threes or not, but I feel like he's just.
I'm gonna start tracking it. I'm gonna start tracking when does he hit his threes? Are the Suns up or down? And I'm literally gonna have a tracker.
Shamet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, oh wow,
well,
he was 3 of 6 tonight. The Suns were up by 18 the whole time.
Well, I mean, if they're up and he extends the lead for the
of course
starters,
that's
awesome.
valued. That's valued.
Yeah,
but like
still counts.
I want to have him hit a couple of those threes when we're down because we need that. We're gonna need that. We're gonna be down in games now, man. Like get used to it. Now, granted, like the one time the Phoenix Suns blow somebody out, 102-82, you and Suns got to do the pod. So I wasn't here to talk about a blowout, but my last 2 games have been the Suns losing pretty handily. And I feel like I've watched some bad Suns basketball and some bad offensive basketball. I mean, they scored 88 points tonight.
Do you think so? With the trade deadline only a month away, do you think this team kind of knows?
The trade deadline's not a month away.
Isn't
the trade deadline's it's in February.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, the 15th is when a
is
bunch of people are available for trade, and that's when we can see potential.
Never mind. All right, I'm just trying to think of what's going on in these guys' heads, but who knows?
Who knows what's going on inside their head? And you know what? Who knows what is going on inside the heads of Philly fans? On this edition of the Subreddit Stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
So there I was hanging out on the Philly subreddit. The Sixers are Sixers. And I'll tell you, it's an interesting place to be these days. You got to understand the mindset of a Philly fan right now, Matthew. They're a team or a city that has an 8-0 football team. They're a city that just lost in the World Series. So fuck the Sixers, right? They don't really care about the Sixers. But they did have some interesting observations that I'd like to share right now on this edition of the Suns Subreddit Stakeout. All right. First thing that we had, looking through their subreddit, scrolling down. All right. This is before the game even kicked off. And this is just funny, okay? This one cat says, burnt my dick in a sauna, so pretty frustrated recently. But if we pull out a W tonight, I will peak so hard, the entire city of Philadelphia will feel it.
Oh, my God, dude. That's
Say
great.
what, dude? Burn his dick in how do you burn your dick in a sauna?
The coals, I guess, if they're just doing it with without a towel or anything, they're just butt naked in there.
Are you teabagging a what the heck?
Maybe some old fat guys came in. He tried to get out of there quickly and
he tripped on his dick. I don't know. I have no idea. Another member of the Phillies subreddit, the Philadelphia 76ers subreddit, said, Thibault is an insanely bad player. I'd rather have Embiid guarding Booker than that foul machine. Isn't it crazy how far to Matisse Thybulle has fallen off in the eyes of not only the Philly fans, but the fans of the NBA? Like, he is like a defense, a straight up defense only guy. And now he's they think he doesn't play good defense.
Yeah, that's crazy because he was huge. The bubble happened. He got big off of that.
Yep.
And then ever since then, man, he has not been. I love Thybulle. Rookie season, he was amazing. And I was like, oh, this guy, like, what a steal. And then all of a sudden, he couldn't steal anything, man.
Well, and think about, like, you know, if you take a look essentially at what his contract is, you know, he's somebody who didn't get a qualifying offer either this year. You know, Cameron Johnson obviously didn't get the qualifying offer, but a lot of people are like, oh, hey, Matisse Thybulle. But you take a look at kind of his statistics, and thus far this year, he's 1.7 points. He's got 1.2 personal fouls. He plays 10 minutes a game. Like, they just don't use him anymore. Remember when he used to like lock up Book? Yeah, Blaze Megatron mentions it in the chat. Thibault locked up Booker a few times. Like, what happened to that guy, man? He fell off.
Yeah, I feel like that was more a Book though, getting hung up in the lane a few times, right? He kept
Perhaps.
doing that a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. He run himself into dead ends. Next up, somebody said, bring Mikal home. Obviously, Mikal Bridges, drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers originally, played at Villanova from Philadelphia. And then they said, fun fact, my iPhone attempted to autocorrect Mikal to animal.
Okay.
And then somebody also said, Tobias taking Bridges to the weight room. Did that a couple times in this game, man. He straight up backed down Mikal Bridges and made him look silly.
Yeah, he was kind of a few times there, and he was. I was like, dude, is he going to be unstoppable? They even showed the stat line. I'm like, oh no, we're showing his stat line.
Uh-oh.
That's not good compared with Embiid. You know when they show like the 2 stars of the game, you don't want that. You don't want that, man.
Yeah, when Tobias Harris starts lighting you up. And then the last thing I have is somebody asked, what happened to Chris Paul? And somebody responded, he became washed once he turned 37 years old.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
He became washed once he turned
He's
37.
not washed.
He's not washed, man.
Awesome,
He's
dude.
he's just clean.
He was player of the week last week. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals,
I
5
actually gave it to-
rebounds.
I actually gave it to Mikal Bridges last week in
I know,
my
but-
center of the sun for Bright Side.
He had such a good week last week.
Maybe I should have.
Well, he only had, what did he have? Like the last game he played was only 24 minutes. That's why he only had like the 4 assists last game, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
So he was still averaging 11 assists, dude.
What else you got from this game, Matthew?
You know what? Let me look through my notes, see what's going on, dude. I think that's about it. You know, the Embiid thing, like, do you notice that he does get hurt, or not hurt, but he gets tired usually like really early? Like, he exudes all his energy early on, and in the third quarter he kind of takes off, and in the fourth quarter he comes back.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
do you notice that? Yeah,
He's done that his whole career.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting because they mentioned he missed the last 3 games with a non-COVID illness, but he had a virus, so it's something that zapped him. So you knew he was going to be zapped, and they were going to have to play him in spurts. And I wish the Suns would have been a little bit more aggressive on him and made him work a little bit harder, because he was willing to be gassed. And I've noticed that kind of his whole career, right? Like, Joel Embiid, somebody, he's like Devin Booker. Devin Booker likes to come out and get hot early. But the difference is Devin Booker can sustain it, and then Joel Embiid, like you said, typically has to take like a quarter and a half off. The difference is Joel Embiid is so goddamn dominant. He's so goddamn unstoppable. And then he gets every freaking call because he's kind of like a Shaq, right? Like, he's somebody who's just, because of his sheer size, you don't know how to necessarily call each foul that occurs on him, because people just bounce off of him, you know, because he's 7 foot, probably 7'2", 280, you know. But like this year, he's averaging 8.7 free throws a game, but 11.8 last year, 10.7 the year before that. On his career, he averages 9.6 free throws a game. I mean, that right there is going to give you an extra potentially like 7 points a game on top of what you're doing. He's just, the guy's just a beast, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's unstoppable, and that's the thing. It's like, never mind.
He is kind of a bitch, though,
I don't
right?
want to talk about it.
What do you think about him tripping Damian Lee? Remember that play?
Yeah, I saw that.
He straight up tripped him,
all the
dude.
time. I know.
Yeah,
but
but this was like blatant, though, man. Like, I see it in football every now and
That
then.
reminds me of like a Chris Paul move.
Yeah, but Chris Paul's little legs couldn't reach out that far. Like, Joel
Well,
Embiid
they
came down,
could.
and it's like he hit the low. He pressed like, was it down low kick in Mortal Kombat? He did like the side swipe or the leg sweep
Yeah.
almost on Damian Lee. Damian Lee's just like, dude, review that shit. And that's what, so it's funny in the subreddit stakeout. You know, a couple things that they constantly. I'll give the Sixers fans credit. Not a lot of shit talking. Not a lot of Suns shit talking. A little bit about Booker whining about fouls in the third quarter, but then you had like other members of the Sixers being like, "Hey man, like we got Harden and Embiid. We can't be talking shit." Like when you go to like Warriors subreddit or Lakers subreddit or any Western Conference team that we say with regularity, obviously there's going to be more tension there and there's more of a history. But the level of shit talking is elevated relative to their hate for the Suns. The Sixers fans in their subreddit, for the most part, were dogging on their own team the entire time. They're hating on Matisse Thybulle. They were hating on, or they were loving what they were getting from Tobias Harris. They were loving what they were seeing, obviously, from him tonight. But not a lot of Sun slander. I mean, I picked out like 4 or 5 things. That's all I could find with them. And when Joel Embiid did the tripping of Damian Lee, they were like, come on, man. Like, great, that's going to be on SportsCenter. Like, all they did was talk shit about Joel. It's like, come on, man, you're better than that. Like, don't be doing that petty shit. Like, I was just like I tip my hat to Sixers fans. You know, I tip my hat to that team because it's a team I think both you and I have said in the past, like, if I was to have a favorite Eastern Conference team, they're like top 2 or 3, without a doubt. They're a team that struggled alongside the Phoenix Suns for a very long time. They had the process. We had the timeline. Okay, we've been to a finals. They haven't. But I liked a lot of the things that they did in the past. I hate the fact that they have James Harden. I like their jerseys. I like their colors. I don't know why it says Phila and like, where's the Delphia? Flip, Adelphia. Like, I don't.
I'm your Adelphia.
Yeah, I'm your Delphia. Like, I don't know where that is, but at the same time, like, it's a team that I don't personally have a lot of beef with. And it was nice hanging out the subreddits tonight and them not seeing a bunch of hate for us, I guess.
Well, it's because they expect championship. I feel like they're kind of like us now, where we're just like, if these players aren't working out, we're going to kind of dog on them. I feel like more than we do the other team. That's what I do mostly.
Yeah, me too.
Because we know what to expect now in the playoffs. We know how to compare this team to what they should be in the future in a way. So if we're not seeing that, then we're going to be upset. And there's certain players, and they've had players on there like Thybulle and Harris for a while. I know they've been unhappy with those guys. So that must be frustrating because I feel like when the Suns are kind of like done with the player, whether he's not contributing, they kind of move past him in the last 3 years. So except for Shamet. Shamet this year is doing a little bit better, but we never have those guys that have been on this team for years and we fucking hate. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, this guy sucks. Every guy.
Torrey Craig's still present. Still present.
But Craig's been playing good though.
He has
this year, yeah.
Well, next up for the Phoenix Suns, Wednesday, they travel to Minneapolis, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves round 2. John Doe, thank you for letting us know in the chat. He says, Dwayne Rankin states, Chris Paul said he could have played. He would have, but doesn't see the sore right heel as a prong thing. When asked if it's just a matter of being cautious, Paul said, yep. So that's good news.
Right. So what a waste of a pod, huh? About 30 minutes of the pod.
Well, but no, it's something that we have to start thinking about because Chris Paul's 37. He's at the back end of his career, and every little injury is like an oh shit moment. And again, I think power forward is where the Phoenix Suns really need to focus a lot of their energy. I think we have guard play. We need to have some consistent scoring from the 4.
Yeah.
But taking a look at the game that's upcoming against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, this is a team that just last week the Phoenix Suns played. They beat them pretty handily. I don't remember what the final score was, but that was the game, obviously, that
116-107.
There you go. And that's the game that Cameron Johnson went off for 29 points. He went crazy. He took advantage of Karl-Anthony Towns because Karl-Anthony Towns couldn't slip a screen and cover the 3-point line. And now he's gone because that's what he does. Just like Jenny Gump. He and just like that, he was gone. So what are you looking for in this game? The Twin Towers, can they be effective knowing that we don't have somebody who can take advantage of Karl-Anthony Towns on the offensive end now?
Oh, man, the Twin Towers. Oh, dude, these tall guys that so I had to see what their schedule or what their record is since playing the Suns. All I keep hearing is just slander of the team. I know a lot of them aren't very happy playing with each other right now already. Edwards is kind of
Did you see Edwards taking plays off in the last game?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
It's all over Twitter. He's literally he just stands there and he watches the ball. He's standing on the 3-point line, like the 3/4 point line.
Yeah,
ball's being passed around. He's literally just standing there. It's like some Kevin Love shit.
Who do you think he doesn't like? Is it Gobert again? Is Gobert the reason?
It's probably Cat, man. I mean, if you played next to that big baby, wouldn't you? I mean, we literally spent like 30 minutes dogging Cat after that podcast. So why wouldn't he? Probably Anthony Edwards probably watched our podcast because that's what he does. And when he was here watching, he probably gave us a like. So if you're here watching, you might as well be like Anthony Edwards, right? Give us a like. And he probably was just like, you're right, dude. Like all this guy does is try to clog up the lane for me. Rudy Gobert's down there now. He's taking 3-pointers out of my hands. He's shitty on defense, and he's a big fucking baby. And he starts doing like weird gestures in the first quarter of games, and then like by the end of the game, he's crying.
Yeah, the thing is, I never expected that from Edwards. I always thought Edwards would be a guy to play through anything, and he was a guy that's going to be not a role model, but just someone that plays hard. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like a guy like a Devin Booker who went through a lot of shit, but never really showed us that side. He complained a lot, but he never gave up on plays. That's
true.
what it was so weird to hear that. So something happened when it all started with Kat saying something at the podium about what he was eating, and then after that, he hasn't dunked, right? Because there's no room to dunk the ball. It's too clogged up there. Right now, they're losing to the Knicks, so it looks like they're going to lose that game. And the Knicks are okay, but they have to figure this out quickly. And like we talked about last time, there's going to probably be a trade. And I just want to know who he doesn't like. And if it's Gobert again, then I was totally
it's got to be
wrong.
Towns. It's like you
It
mentioned.
has to be, right?
Well,
Because Gobert
after
just goes to business. He just does his shit. I feel like down
Yeah.
there he does his stuff on defense.
He speaks
and-
French. Like half
Yeah.
the time, he probably just
He's
plays
probably
dumb.
a prick, but they're
yeah,
all pricks.
you know, well, yeah, they're all pricks. But after Tiger 25 fortifies in the chat, what you say, he says Towns called out Ant's diet too. So
Too
know,
soon. Or is it too so? Oh, I thought he was gonna say
as
too
well,
soon.
yeah.
Because it was early. It was like the 8th game. It's like you're talking about his diet.
But they're 5-5. They have the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So they're currently playing and they're losing to the New York Knicks. They're down 111-96 as we record this in the fourth quarter. So they're potentially going to be 5-6 entering their game against the Phoenix Suns. You know, in my piece, my Center of the Sun piece for Brightside, I actually called a win tonight and a loss on Wednesday. Like, I could see us beating this team again. I really can. You know, I think that, again, it's going to come from production from the four. So Monty Williams has got to get creative in how he draws Karl-Anthony Towns away from that basket, do some of those high screens, and then, you know, ultimately make him pay for it. And they did that with Cameron Johnson last time. Anthony Edwards played amazing defense on Devin Booker, did his best to take him out of the game. They threw a lot of doubles. They took advantage of it. You got to have the ability to take advantage of it. And the Phoenix Suns right now, it's like the offensive firepower wasn't there tonight. Hopefully it is there on Wednesday against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, I think Cat is kind of dumb when it comes to like his IQ for basketball, so that probably drives him nuts a little bit. But also I think the way just to handle this, man, is just if DA plays with some force, he can cancel out those two, because those two can you can always play off Gobert. I feel like Ayton can always do that. Gobert, he can play him off the court. Cat, you can just play him off from effort. So if there's effort from DA tomorrow night, I don't think it's going to be difficult, but I feel like it'll be an easier win for the Suns. I don't
go
worry
out
about
and get in
those
foul
two.
trouble, man.
Don't do it.
DA
Say
and
no to
foul trouble.
drugs.
That's the
Yeah.
one thing. That's the one thing. Say no to drugs. You know what DARE stands for? Remember?
Oh, it's yeah, I know what it stands for. Well, what does it actually really stand for?
Drugs are really expensive.
Oh. Yeah, that's
Or
what it
drug
was.
abuse and resistance education. Last thing before we get out of here, if you are one of our American listeners, tomorrow, go vote. You're right as
Are you
an
voting?
American. Of course, I vote every time.
Oh, I never vote.
Yeah, I know. It's because of you idiots like you. Listen.
Yeah, I always forget though.
Yeah, well, how can you forget? I get
I don't
text
forget, I'm
messages from
lazy.
every fucking
I know Carrie
like,
Lake
local.
just texted me again.
Yeah, Carrie Lake's like, "What are you doing tonight, man? You want to hang out?"
She's super hot though. I'm sorry, Carrie Lake's
Ugh.
a fucking bomb.
I watched
Bombshell.
I watched her on a bombshell. I watched her on Fox 10 News. Because, like, I watch Channel 10 because their news comes on at 9 p.m. instead of 10. And like I watched her for years, and I was just like, grow your hair out. Go and vote. You know, like I personally, it's obviously Friday is Veterans Day. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hit that pod, by the way, because it's an early game against the Magic. So
okay, I'm off that day.
Nice. So we might need to get a replacement because we have some stuff going on at work, and I won't be getting out of work until like right when the pod goes live. So
cool.
If I am part of that pod, I'll just ask you
Let's
a lot
just
of
stop
questions.
doing the pod.
Yeah, fuck it. Who needs to do it anymore?
No, I'm gonna stop. Dead in a bolt. Carrie Lake is not fugly, dude. She's for her age. What is she, like 80 years old?
Oh my God, you're horrible, man. So everybody, just go out and vote, man. Exercise your right.
Yeah.
That's like I'm a veteran, right? Like I serve this country, so and I believe in our democracy, and that's what makes it beautiful is the fact that you do have a voice. You have more than just a voice than on the Suns Jam Session podcast. So. And like what Cody says, vote early and avoid the shit. I always vote in the morning because to avoid the shit, right? So proud of everybody who went and vote. All right, that being said, that's another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're consuming this content. If it happens to be on YouTube, you can vote too. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. We'll read it. We're so close to 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, so let's
get
really
to 3,000 in a
I'd
week.
love to get to 3,000. That'd be really cool. Yeah,
just right
so
now.
many of you just subscribe. You don't have to hit the bell notification. You can, But you know when we're going live, right after every Suns game. So
Mhm.
until then, we'll see you Wednesday. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida. You can follow Matthew on Twitter.
And Matthew, listen.
Follow the show at Suns Jam. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. Everybody, we will see you on Wednesday. Go rock the vote.
Yeah, go home and vote your family.